Welcome, aspirants, to this special explainer here at Rungta IAS Academy. Today, we're going to decode a truly monumental shift in rural governance. We're looking at the transition from MGNREGA to the new VBGRAMG legislation. Make a note of this, guys, because it is an absolutely critical topic for your General Studies Paper 2 mains preparation.
Please note this structure for your answer writing. We'll cover the scheme transition context, compare MGNREGA versus the new scheme, look at digital implementation bottlenecks, and finally, the blackout period debate. Let's dive right in.
Starting with our first section, the scheme transition context. Let's establish a strong introduction for your answers.
Now, look at the specific terminology used by Union Rural Development Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan here. He emphasizes a shift towards building developed villages. Highlighting this core policy intent, the idea that this act is a foundation for a developed India is just a superb way to open your mains introduction. It shows the examiner you understand the bigger picture.
So the legislation officially takes effect on July 1st, giving states a maximum transition period of 6 months to prepare. But, and as an astute UPSC aspirant, you need to critically note this, it was passed in Parliament this past December without pre-legislative consultations. Remember, examiners always look for those crucial points on governance and legislative transparency.
Moving on to Section 2, MGNREGA versus the new scheme. Let's dissect the core paradigm shifts that the interview board is likely to focus on.
The first major and frankly positive shift for workers is the extension of the statutory employment guarantee. We're moving from 100 days up to 125 days per financial year. This is a direct, tangible enhancement of the social safety net.
However, the absolute crucial point for center-state relations is the financial restructuring. We are shifting away from a 100% centrally funded, demand-based approach. Instead, we're looking at a 60-40 normative budget split between the center and the states. This is a huge shift in fiscal federalism.
Now, let's look at Section 3, Digital Implementation Bottlenecks. As highlighted in a recent study by LibTech, the transition faces an immediate administrative hurdle. There are significant gaps in completing the e-KYC process for the new Grameen Rozgar guarantee cards. And the scale here is literally staggering. We're talking about 11.58 crore registered workers. That's 45.4% of the workforce, along with 0.95 crore active workers who are yet to complete their e-KYC. Managing data at this magnitude, that is a classic public administration challenge.
Fortunately, the government has stepped in and clarified that employment will not be denied due to pending e-KYC. Traditional safety nets, like making oral demands or using the written Form 6 framework, will absolutely remain valid alongside these new digital platforms.
Furthermore, make sure to point this out in your answers. Attendance capture relies heavily on the National Mobile Monitoring System, or NMMS. Enforcing digital attendance in rural regions that suffer from patchy internet coverage creates genuine administrative friction on the ground.
Finally, let's turn to Section 4, the blackout period debate. This is highly relevant for your critical analysis questions.
The new act introduces what's called a blackout period. Essentially, states can notify a pause in scheme work for up to 60 days during peak sowing and harvesting seasons. Now, the ostensible goal here is to ensure the availability of agricultural labor, redirecting workers to farms so agriculture doesn't suffer from shortages.
But as analysts, we must look at the other side of the coin. This specific clause has drawn direct criticism from activists. Why? Because it fundamentally alters the rural labor dynamic and could potentially reduce the bargaining power of those very laborers.
So, in your mains answer, you must impartially weigh both sides of this argument. Does the blackout period, by denying alternative scheme work during peak seasons, artificially suppress agricultural wages and reduce bargaining power? Or is it a necessary step to stabilize farm economics?
We'll leave you with this final provocative thought to practice. Beyond the labor dynamics, how will the shift to a 60-40 normative budget impact the fiscal health of state governments? You need to deeply analyze this new financial burden on state treasuries going forward. Keep studying, keep analyzing, and we'll see you in the next explainer right here at Rungta IAS Academy.